I found my seat according to the ticket, but a strange woman was sitting on it. I reminded her that this was my seat, but she said she was pregnant. She asked me to stand for hours and give up my seat to her. When I heard this, I immediately told her to leave. Unexpectedly, she started shouting and accusing me of bullying her. But I was not affected by her words. This was a seat I had managed to grab with great difficulty. I shouted at her to leave. Seeing this, she stood up and played the victim again. She yelled that I had no compassion. Other passengers also started speaking up for her. They all criticized my attitude. They even told me to give her the seat right away. Hearing these words, I turned to the woman who had shouted the loudest. "Since you are so kind-hearted, why don't you give her your seat?" But she replied that she was old and refused to give up her seat. Seeing that she was still being stubborn, I came up with a good idea. I bought the seat for $300. If you like speaking up for her so much, why don't you buy the seat from me? When she heard she had to pay, she immediately refused and fell silent. Seeing that the surrounding passengers all went quiet, I immediately told the woman occupying my seat to get up. But she threw a tantrum and refused to move. The chief attendant heard the argument and came over. I immediately took out the ticket and handed it to the chief attendant, but she said she only bought a standing ticket. She asked what would happen if something went wrong while standing. The chief attendant ignored her threat. The chief attendant reminded her that her current behavior was illegal. If she still refused to leave, he would call the police. Only then did the woman reluctantly leave. As soon as I got off the train, my family wanted to take me to a family dinner. My sister told me that my eldest uncle picked on them everywhere because his family was rich. I decided to teach them a lesson. Unexpectedly, as soon as we walked in, the eldest uncle blamed us for being late. I immediately asked him if he was in a hurry to reincarnate after dinner. The relatives immediately started criticizing me for having no upbringing. But my father hit back perfectly with just one sentence. It made me feel extremely proud. Afterwards, I asked about the time of the family dinner. I learned that my aunt had lied on purpose to make my father late. I reprimanded her mercilessly. Seeing this, the eldest uncle tried to ease the atmosphere. The family dinner could finally begin. The eldest uncle proposed a toast together, but my father had just taken medicine and couldn't drink alcohol. However, they still forced my father to drink.